Yeah, man! Hello, my name is Miguel and today I'm gonna make for you chicken spaghetti bok choy. It's new and it's a Chinese inspired meal. You will need spaghetti, 3/4 between 1 pound chicken, 1 medium sized onion, 1 stalk scallion, which I don't have right now, it's frozen, 2 large dried pimento berries, 1/4 piece pepper. I'm using Scotch bonnet pepper. You could shred 2 or 3 red peppers instead. And 2 tablespoons of cooking wine, 1 teaspoon or less distilled white vinegar, 1 between 2 tablespoons cooking oil, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon or less salt, 2 large garlic cloves, 1 teaspoon parsley flakes, and 1 tablespoon rosemary leaves. When you shred it fine, you might get half a tablespoon. A teaspoon chicken seasoning. You could use 1 teaspoon of all-purpose powdered seasoning instead. Half pound bok choy. Visit JamaicanCookings.com for the recipe. First, prepare seasonings. Put seasonings one place. I'm using this plate. Peel garlic clove, trim spoilage. Shred garlic to puree or mash it to pulp. Add 1 tablespoon salt or less. Put 2 dried pimento berries on the plate. If the berries are small, use 1/4 teaspoon. Put half piece Scotch bonnet pepper on the plate. Remember now, you could use red pepper instead. Shred it fine. Now, this is rosemary. Sprinkle distilled white vinegar on it and then wash it clean. This is fresh rosemary. Remove the rosemary's leaf from the stem. Then gather the leaves together. Hold it. Use a sharp knife. Shred rosemary leaves fine. You could use dried rosemary instead. Just grind it fine. To do this, you could use a coffee grinder instead. Put a teaspoon of dried parsley on the plate. You could use fresh, shredded fine. Keep the seasonings separate. Now, put 1 teaspoon of organic fried chicken seasoning on the plate. You could use 1 teaspoon of all-purpose powdered seasoning instead. Seasonings. Put the seasonings aside for later. Onion next. Chop scallion fine. Remove dying leaves. Cut off root end and the tip. Sprinkle some distilled white vinegar on it and then wash it clean under fresh running water. Use a sharp knife, chop it fine. Or you could use a cooking scissors like me. Alright, with the onion. I like to cut the onion in half, it's easier to handle. Cut onion in half, remove the skin. Remember now, the first layer of the onion is the strongest. Only throw it away if it is spoiled. Now, cut that half piece onion in half. Use your fingers. Separate the leaves. And then put the onions aside for later. Get a big bowl ready. Remove bok choy from the package. Next, clean and prepare bok choy. You could use a knife or a sharp cooking scissors. Cut off the bok choy's root end. After that, sprinkle several drops of distilled white vinegar on the bok choy. You could use salt instead. And then add enough water to cover the bok choy. Dip the bok choy in and out of the water. Wash the bok choy properly. Now use your fingers. Separate the leaves. Look between the leaves for dirt and insect. Use your fingers. Rub between the leaves clean. In Jamaica we call it pak choy. We also call it bok choy too as well, depending on where you buy it. Once you're sure the dirt is removed, throw off this dirty water. And then pour fresh water in the bowl. Use your finger, rinse it properly. Allow the bok choy to drain. After that, put bok choy in a colander and allow it to drain. Next, shred bok choy. You could grab a hold of a bunch of bok choy. Put the bok choy on a chopping board. Use a sharp knife. Chop bok choy 1 inch thickness. However, I like to use a cooking scissors. Shred bok choy 1 inch thick, such as this. If you have cooking scissors, ensure that you have one scissors that you use for meat only and another scissors that you use to shred or share vegetables only. Shredded bok choy. Cover it and put it aside for later. Chicken time. Look, read this in the meantime. Next, clean and prepare chicken for cooking. Ensure the chicken is defrosted. Get a big enough bowl ready. Put chicken into the bowl. Now, use a knife. Clean chicken good. Clean the chicken properly. To do this, use the knife. Go between the chicken. Go between the chicken's bone. Remove anything that is not chicken. Use the knife. Scrape the chicken's flesh. Clean the chicken properly. Remove clot, blood. Trim fat. Remove anything that is not chicken. Ensure to clean the chicken well. Sprinkle several drops of distilled white vinegar on the chicken that is in the bowl. After that, pour some water on it. Rub between the chicken and the chicken's flesh properly. Throw this chicken dirty water away. Give it a final rinse. It's best if you do this part under fresh running water. Do this. Either put the chicken into a colander and allow it to drain, or do like me. Put the chicken between your hands as if you're clasping it. Squeeze the chicken to remove excess water. Use the same bowl. Make sure the bowl is dry. Once the water is drained off the chicken, this part is optional. Use the other piece pepper. Rub it on the chicken like this. It's a good tip. Just do it. Rub the piece pepper all over the chicken. Cut chicken chunks. Cut 1 inch between 2 inches chicken chunks. Use a sharp knife or cooking scissors like me. Cut chicken chunks. Cut inch between 2 inches chicken chunks. You can do this chicken with bone, or you can do this chicken boneless. Fry it for the same time. If you chopped the chicken smaller, you won't have to stop while you're eating to cut it. After that, add half of the amount of salt on the plate on the chicken, which is about half tablespoon. Next, add half organic homemade fried chicken seasoning. You could use 1 teaspoon of all-purpose powdered seasoning instead. Use your fingers. Rub this seasoning in the chicken or on the chicken chunks. Cover it and then put it aside for later. Good enough. Next, prepare this chicken spaghetti bok choy stir-fry sauce. Get a big enough bowl or container ready. Measure and add 2 tablespoons soy sauce, and then measure and add in the bowl 2 tablespoons cooking wine. You could use any flavored cooking wine. I love using this cooking wine. It flavors gin. If I was following the Chinese method, I would have added 1 tablespoon of food cornstarch. But to be honest, I don't really like cook with cornstarch, kind of natural, you know what I mean? If you know what I mean. Stir it, cover the container, and then put it aside for later. It's time to start cook. Fill a medium-sized saucepan or a stewing pot halfway with water, and then put it on the stove. Measure and add half between 1 teaspoon of salt. I am using sea salt. Use the pan's lid. Cover it fully. Put the stove's gauge flame on 4 medium-low. Leave it. Let the water come to a boil. This is a 300-gram pack of spaghetti. Use 2/3 or 3/4 of the package. This is what you want. After 8 between 10 minutes, the water is bubbling. Now is the best time to add spaghetti. Add spaghetti in the boiling water, in the bubbling water. I like to break the spaghetti noodles in half. So you could do like me, break the spaghetti in half, or you could add it whole. Use a cooking spoon. Stir it so that the spaghetti won't stick together. Use the pan's lid. Cover pan. Open it halfway. If you cover it fully, the starch in the water will let it overflow and mess your stove. And you don't want that. After 1 minute, use the cooking spoon. Stir the spaghetti in the bubbling water. Ensure the spaghetti is not sticking. Open lid halfway. Stove's gauge is on 4. Allow. After 4 between 5 minutes, turn stove off. The spaghetti is finished cooking. You don't want to cook it fully. Cook it 3/4 way. Now, use a mesh like me. Remove the water from the spaghetti, or remove the spaghetti from the water. Ensure that the water is drained. And then put the spaghetti back in the same pot or pan. If you add cooking oil to the cooked spaghetti, it won't stick. Measure 1 tablespoon or less cooking oil. And then pour it on the spaghetti. Use a spoon. Stir the oil all over on the spaghetti. Use the pan's lid, cover it, put this aside for later. Next, cook chicken. Boy, I have so much different steps we have in this sitting here, man. Next, put a large saucepan or stewing pot to heat. Ensure that inside of the pan is dry. If you're in a hurry, use a clean paper towel. Put the stove's gauge flame on 4 medium-low. Dry out the inside of the pan or stewing pot. Note, it would be best if you use a wok to do this part. If you use a wok, you won't have to add that much cooking oil as me. And you wouldn't have to remove the cooking oil at the end. Once no water is in the pan, measure and add 1/4 cup cooking oil. Remember, we're going to use this much oil to fry the chicken and then remove most of it at the end. Now, allow the oil to get hot a few seconds between a minute. Once the oil is hot a little bit, add chicken chunks in the pot. Add chicken chunks in the pot. Keep the chicken chunks separate. Put the chicken chunks on its own little spot in the pot. Allow it to fry golden before you flip it. The stove gauge is on 4 medium-low. Allow. Do not move it. After 4 minutes, use a cooking spoon. Flip the frying chicken chunks on the other side. Once you did that, allow it to fry golden. Stove gauge is still on 4. Medium-low, allow. After 3 minutes more, a total of 8 minutes frying, go through. Look on which piece of chicken needs to fry golden some more and then flip it. I'm gonna let this fry 1 more minute. Alright, this is good enough. The chicken is cooked just right. Now, remove most of the cooking oil. Do like me. Drain 80 between 90% of the cooking oil. Just leave 1 tablespoon in the pot. Remember, if you were using a wok, you could have just used the right amount of oil and just fry the chicken in the middle of the wok. And then you continue. I don't have a wok. This is what I'm using. Next, add chopped onions in the pot. Use the cooking spoon. Stir it. Stir it a couple times. Allow the onions to saute 20 between 30 seconds. Now, add chopped scallion. Use a cooking spoon. Stir it. Allow the scallion to saute 10 between 20 seconds. If you were using shredded red pepper, now would be a good time to add it. Next, add mashed garlic. Use a cooking spoon. Stir it. Allow it to saute 10 seconds. Don't add the dried pimento berries yet. It might burst and go in your eyes. It might burst and hurt you. It's always best to add the pimento berries while it is stewing. Turn the stove's gauge on 2, which is still low. Immediately after that, you got to move fast. Add the chopped or shredded bok choy. Add the herbs, the salt, pepper, dried pimento berries. Measure and add teaspoon or less distilled white vinegar. You could use any flavored vinegar. This is cider. Do not stir it yet. Use the pan's lid. Cover it fully. The stove's gauge is on 2, which is still low, allow, or which is still low medium. Keep the lid closed within the time. Do not open it every minute. After 2 minutes, I am removing the peas pepper now. I do not want it to mash into the meal and make the meal too spicy. Now use the cooking spoon. Flip the bottom to the top. Stir it a few times. And then use the pan's lid. Cover it fully. The stove's gauge is still on 2, low. If you were using carrot, now could be a best time to add it, although it's best to add near to the end. After 2 between 3 minutes more, a total of 5 minutes since we added bok choy, this is it. Add cooked spaghetti, stir fry sauce, and then add it in the pot. Now, use the cooking spoon. Stir fry the sauce on and in this chicken spaghetti bok choy. Stir it fast. This will coat the spaghetti and the chicken with the stir fry sauce. Use the pan's lid. Cover it fully. Allow. The stove's gauge is still on low, 2, allow. After 1 minute, don't let it go over 1 minute. Use the cooking spoon. Stir fry this chicken spaghetti bok choy. The stir fry sauce will start drying out, and that's gonna make this meal juicy. So while it is frying, use the cooking spoon and stir it. This will make the meal juicy. Once it starts sticking to the pot's bottom, that's a sign to say it's ready. This is it. It's finished. Turn the stove off. So it's been about 2 minutes since we added the cooked spaghetti. Use the pan's lid. Cover the pan until serving. Before serving, stir the meal in the pot a couple times. Use a thong. Put this delicious looking chicken spaghetti bok choy on a plate. This is chicken spaghetti bok choy. Visit JamaicanCookings.com for the recipe. Subscribe, like, and you should share this video with everyone. You should try making this meal yourself. When you do, come back. Share your experience with us. This is chicken spaghetti bok choy. This chicken spaghetti bok choy tastes delicious. It has a clean flavor. The cooking wine and soy sauce give it a Chinese food essence. The onion and the bok choy is crunchy. This meal is awesome. For another dinner idea, you could add small carrot sticks. Everything together, everything in this chicken spaghetti bok choy makes this meal juicy. Makes this meal taste juicy. This unique meal made its own flavor. It's the flavor of Chinese food. It's filling. I felt full from eating this small plate of chicken spaghetti bok choy. The herbs. If you gave somebody this chicken spaghetti bok choy meal, they wouldn't even know that you use herbs to cook this meal. The herbs gave this meal flavor. Usually when I do a new recipe, I tried it first myself and then I will show it to you. But with this meal, it's the very first time I am cooking this new Asian-inspired cuisine, chicken spaghetti bok choy. I will be cooking this meal again occasionally. Definitely. I loved the flavor of this meal. This is serving for 2 persons. Until next time, walk good. Yeah, man. For another dinner idea, you could add teaspoon of hoisin sauce in the stir-fry sauce. For a second dinner idea, add 1 teaspoon teriyaki sauce in the stir-fry sauce.